Okay, we're learning this morning Le'ilu Nishmas Shalamis Bas Harav Yeshaya. That's the mother of Chaim Klagsburn, Mrs. Klagsburn's Aleha Shalom. She was I worked with her in Prospect Park for a year or two. She was a real special woman. She had a very, 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 very hard life. Anyone's familiar with it? She was an aguna for many, 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 many years. He never Taka gave her a get. He finally dropped dead, and as a result, she was able to remarry. She remarried a Rav in L.A. and had some good years there. She left this world a little too early. She was a very, very special woman, uh, really a tough lady who led a tough life, but never veered from the service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the Shama should have an aliyah in the schus of her son's Torah and our Torah. Okay, we're up to Tzadik Hey Amid Beis, and we were discussing what happened to Sanhedrin. Nebuch lost his whole army. He lost his whole army. He was left with survivors. Who were the survivors? Right? Who were the survivors? Him, his two sons, Nebuzradan, the butcher, and Nebuchadnezzar. It sounds like Hitler and his cronies. That's what was left with the whole chevra. That was what was left. Now there's a pasuk over here that describes what happened to him exactly. So the pasuk starts Amar Reb Vahu. We're up to a few lines up on Tzadik Hey on the base. A few lines up at Tzadik on the base. 4 lines up. Ilmale Mikra Kosov Ef Shalom. If this pasuk wasn't written, there's no way in the world you would say this pasuk. You need it to be written to say. Dechsiv Bayomahu Yigalach Hashem B'Ta'ar Haschira Be'evrei Nahar. That day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to go ahead and shave with a rented out razor for those people Evrei Nahar who live on Evrei Nahar. B'Melech Asher, who is the king of Asher, which is Sanhedrin. Es HaRoish V'Seir Raglayim V'Gam Es HaZakon Tifseh. His head, his hair, his legs, his beard also would be destroyed. That's what it says. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was going to be a barber. Asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu with Idmilei Kagav Saba. HaKadosh Baruch Hu came after Sanhedrin was lost, and he appeared to Sanhedrin as an old man. Amalei, Hashem said to Sanhedrin, Ki ozlus legabe malchei mizrach u'ma'ariv. You know what? You're going back home. You just left over guys, according to reports, 185 soldiers and probably over 1 million men. The amounts of people described that and this victory is incredible. And these people, you're going back, and you're going to have to answer to the kings of these people that died in your battle. You took their kids to Yerushalayim, they got killed. Right? So my Amrit Lord, what are you going to say? The old man comes to tell us Sanhedrin something he's probably been thinking about all along. What am I going to say? We went to Yerushalayim, we woke up, and the whole army was gone. Amalei, Sanhedrin said to this old man, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ahu Gavra, Bahu Pachta Nami Yosef. Me, he speaks about himself in third person, the Balgaiva. He goes, me, you know what? I also been thinking about this. So Amalei, Sanhedrin said, Heichi Navi, what can I do? So Amalei, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to him, Zil, go, Amid Aleph, Vishani Navshach, and disguise yourself. No one will know who you are. But my Yashani, since Sanhedrin said, how can I disguise myself? Amalei Zil Iceland Maspera, go bring me a scissors. That's what. I'll give you a shave. Where should you bring it from? So go ahead, go to that house. He goes to the house. Also, he went to the house and he found the scissors. So also Malchei Shares came to Malchei Shares. They came into the house. And they appeared to him as people. And the Malachim, they were going ahead and grinding seeds from a palm tree. Amalu Hovli Mispara. And so Cher said to them, thinking that these were regular people, give me the scissors. So Amalei, they said to him, first you have to grind some dates. Again, these are all metaphors. And then we'll give it to you. Sanchev went ahead and he ground up some palm trees. And then the Malachim gave him the scissors. By the time he came back to the scissors, right? When he came back to the old man, Amalei, Hashem told him, right? Again, Hashem was an old man. Zil Nura, you have to bring some fire. I can't cut your hair in the dark. Azul Nura. So he went and brought fire. But how did the konafikle, as he was blowing on the fire to make it bigger, I guess he had an ember and he wanted to make it bigger. But how did the konafikle? Itle beinura bidikne. So the fire went into his beard. And Osel Gaisi Lereshi bidikne. And he went and he shaved his head and his beard. He was totally bald. The pasuk says, also your beard will be destroyed, because that was in addition. I guess he had no intention of taking off his beard if he wanted to disguise him, but also in addition to the haircut and the shave, he gave the Amrav Papa, Hainu Dami Inchi. This is what people say again. I find this fascinating throughout the whole Hainu Dami Inchi. You have adages of what people would say, and look into the theme of it. But Hainu Dami Inchi, Geirota la'arma'a shapale. If you burn arma'a, person a guy, and shapale, and he's happy with it, itle nura bidikne. Go ahead and put his beard on fire. And he's not going to go ahead what, and he's not going to stop you from doing it. Hey, son, this little mudna. Also, ashkech dafa mituvat mi tevusa denoyach comes along. So now he's disguised. What does he do, Sanhedrin? He finds a board from Noach's Teva. Omar, he looks at the board and he says, Hainu ela koraba d'sheizveis le'noach mitufana. This is the what? This is the God that saved Noah from the flood. In other words, he's going to worship the plank of wood as God. Right? Omar, he says to the plank of wood, I tell you, if you let me go to battle and I'll be matzliach, I'll go ahead and bring you my two sons, meaning I'll bring my two sons off to you as a sacrifice. Shamu b'nohi v'katlu. What happened? His sons heard, and what did they do? Katlu, they killed him. Listen, they're no fools. They killed him. And Hainu d'chsiv vayihu mishtachave beis nisrach elokov. And as he was bowing down to beis nisrach elokov. He came back from the battle. He was bowing down to this avodah zarah. That his sons Adar Melech v'Sharetza Banov Hikohu Bacherev. They went ahead and they killed him. It says they went ahead and they killed him. Now it's very interesting because the end of the pasuk. This is what the end of the pasuk says. V'hema nimlatu, and they ran away, Eretz Arorot, to the land of Arorot. V'yimloich ad Eson Chadon b'noi Tachta. So they ran away to Eretz Arorot. So this is a Pella. This is a Pella. What do they do in Eretz Arorot? What do they do in Eretz Arorot? Hainu d'chsiv ayihu mishtachem et beis nisrach elokov. Sefer Dekra, v'hema niplatu Eretz Arorot, nira ki tevas Noach nishra shama, because the teva of Noach remained in Arorot. Shnemar, v'tanach, the pasuk says in the Torah, v'tanach ha-teva, b'chodesh hashvi, the teva came to rest in the 7th month, al hare Arorot, on Har Arorot. V'idiyenu akasiv, the Torah says, ki abonim nimlatu, these two sons, they went, and they ran away, el mokam ha-teva, lastly, Shama Akum, to make that Teva into an Avodah Zarah, Kimoisha Asa Aviem, just like their father made the plank into an Avodah Zarah. So that's the end of Sanhedrin. It must have been 15 years ago. I took my pen to paper, because after all, I'm not a blogger, but I took my pen to paper, and let me share with you what I wrote. Sanhedrin Tzadik Daled and Tzadik Hey describes the destruction of Sanhedrin and his army. 185,000 soldiers. And according to the Gemara, they were all officers, and really many, many more were killed. He returns with his two sons, and Nebuchadnezzar and Nebuzaradan, sole survivors. They mamish just saw Yad Hashem, or L'chol HaPachas Etzba Elokim. We had machlokas yesterday. Was it the Yad or the Etzba of the Malach? What does Sanhedrin do? The Gemara tells us, Ozil Ashkech Dafa Mitivosa de Noach. He went, he found a plank from Noach's Teva. Amar Hainu El Karaba. This is the great God, the Shizve Noach Mitufna, that saved Noach. He actually believes that this plank of Teva is what saved Noach, despite everything he had witnessed. Ad kedei kach. Everything. He was willing to sacrifice his two sons to this plank of wood in exchange for future Hatzlach in battle. He just saw, guys, 185,000 is zicha. It's mashma clearly from the Gemara. It was at least, could be millions. Who knows the extent of the guzma of the Gemara? But clearly he saw something that was unbelievable. And he believes that what? It's a plank of wood that went ahead what and saved him. The sons, having overheard this, they take the opportunity and beat him to the punch, and they kill him. Now it's a Pella. You think they kill him? Why? Because they recognize HaKadosh Baruch Hu also. But you see, it's not true. What did the sons do? We just said they run to Hararorat and they say, just like their father served this as Avodah Zarah, they're going to go ahead and serve the Teva as Avodah Zarah. It's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing. How is it possible? Witnessing what they saw. Conversely, they come to destroy Yerushalayim, who's ruled by Chizkiyahu HaMelech, who not only could have been the Mashiach, right, if the door had been Roi, but he also got, but not only that, not only did he make Avodah Zarah, he got rid of Avodah Zarah. Guys, the Gemara in Chulin, Davov on the Beis, says that the Nachas HaNechoshes, Asher Asa Moshe had made a banner with a snake atop of it for all the people who were bit to look. And anyone who looked at it got cured from the venom of the snakes. It was around all these years until we made Chizkiyahu. And you know what happened? They made it into an Avodah Zarah. And Chizkiyahu got rid of it. So you have two things. I was thinking, two things that we used to save. A plank of the Teva, and Nachash Nechoshes, that's saved from venom. Two things. One ends up being served as Avodah Zarah, and the converse is Chizkiyahu takes what was used, not used in Avodah Zarah, but destroys it. It's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite. And it comes from the ability how you view life. Do you view it through Jewish eyes, or do you view it through eyes of a goy? You look into the reasons of Torah and behind Torah. And there was Chizkiyahu Melech looking at the Metzias in front of him, and he gets rid of it. And what did he do? He taught Torah to all of Klal Yisrael. He made sure that it wouldn't be forgotten. He made sure that what Midon Bat Sheva, Afilu, the Noshim and the kiddies, they knew Tomiv Torah, because he realized that it's the Torah, the look of the Torah, to be able to look through Torah and realize that everything's made by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Conversely, the person who does not have Torah, the person has to go ahead and blame it on an object. It can't be a reality. It has to be because of something. They witness the same thing, but look at the opposite, exact opposite. Chizkiyahu sees what they did. They see what they did. They reacted. No Yad Hashem. It doesn't make a difference. Right? Paro got killed. There's no Yad Hashem. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference. Via mold, it does make a difference. The Gemara will describe a little bit about certain people that it did make a difference to. But vis-a-vis the sons of Sanhedrin and his sons, it did not make a difference to, and that's what happened to them. I think this is just an interesting outlook how to go ahead and give to synthesize the Gemara and put it together. We know the facts of it, but beneath the surface, the message to us, how Ashreinu, that we have Torah, and we should always use Torah, no matter what happens in our lives. You use Torah for the prism to go ahead and view it, rather than the event itself, and think that really can affect us. It's not the event. It's our reaction to the event and how it's supposed to be. And it's I'm sure every one of you sitting here can look at your lifetime and realize and view it that way. Okay, I thought this an old message, but timely. It's endless, but it's timeless. It's a timeless message. Okay. So now we had the Malach destroying the Sanhedrin. There are other times in history where Malachim came to help. One of them was by Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu fights against the four kings. Right? Avram Avinu fights against the four kings. I'm going to get a Chumash. Here we have the fight between the four kings and the five kings. It's not really spent a lot of time upon, but it really big lessons in it. And basically, the four kings beat the five kings, and five kings is Melech Sodom. Living in Sodom at the time was Lot. comes along the poet who was Og Melech HaBashan. Think how strong the four kings were, guys. Og was on the losing side. Og was on the losing side. He was the five kings. So Vayavar Polet, he escapes from the battle. So, and Avram goes ahead, and here's what the pasuk says in Perik Yidal pasuk Yidal. Vayishma Avram ki nishba achiv. Avram hears that his brother Lot was captured. Vayorik es chanichav. He arms his chanichav. It's Eliezer. Yelidei Beso Shmona Asa Shlosh Me'elav 318, which is the Gemara of Eliezer. Vayirdav Adon, and they go ahead and chase until dawn. So in other words, they can't get beyond dawn, only till dawn. Vayicholek aleim laila. The night is divided. Huva avadav. So Rashi literally says, fellas, that it was divided like a pasi. They went that way. The Medrash tells us, as this Gemara tells us, Laila, the night, Vayhi b'chatzi alayla. Tzias Mitzrayim, there was a destruction, and that was half the night. The other half was reserved for this night. Okay? And it's only until dawn. Vayicholek aleim laila, huva avoda vayakin. Amr Rabbi Yochanan, Oisei Malach shenizdamin le'Avram Laila Shmoi. The one that Peichalek Aleim Laila is his name. The Malach who came to help Avram in the battle against the four kings was Laila. That was his name. Shneimar. Laila Omar Hoyrov Gover. Laila said, a male child has been born. Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha Omar. The first opinion was Rabbi Yochanan. The first opinion was Rabbi Yochanan. The second opinion is Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. Nafcha is a blacksmith. That it wasn't that the Malach was named Laila, but the Malach helped Avram by doing a Maisa Laila. Shenemar, min hashamayim nilchamu hakechavim, min misiloisam nilchamu im Sisra. Sisra, fellas, was fighting against Barak, and what happened was Hashem removed a star, and the chariots, there were 900 chariots, the heels of the horses got so scorching hot, they ran and they drowned in Nachal Kishan. I think Nachal Kishan, I'm not sure, but anyway, that's the bottom line is, so the night fought against them. Literally, the night fought against them because the removal of the star, it created this heat, and so therefore it says, so something like that occurred in the battle with the four kings. So something to those lines occurred in the battle with the four kings. Reish Lakish, Tavach de Nafcha, mid the Bar Nafcha. Better what Yitzchak Nafcha said than what Yochanan Bar Nafcha said. He liked the second shot better than the first. Not that there was a Malach named Laila, rather the fighting was the fighting of Laila. By Yirdav Adon, as the pasuk told us, Rabbi Yochanan, what happened in Don? A little background, fellas. We know the Malchus was split. The Shlomo had a son, Rechavam, and Yerovam ben Nevat, he created a whole Malchus up in the north. Those are Asar Shvatim. What he wanted to do was he wanted people to stop being Oil Regel, because if there be Oil Regel, they would see that the king would be sitting in the Azara. Ein Malchus, ein Yeshiva, El Azara, El Malchus Beis David Bulvad. Only a king of Yehuda can sit in the Azara. So it would be detrimental to Yeravam, who held himself king, that they should see Rechavam sitting there. So what he did was he set up sentries. He set up sentries to stop being going, and he put up 2 golden calves to worship, and he began avodah zara. He's listed as one of the people who has no chelik in Olam Haba in the beginning of our parak. That's Yeravam. So that's the background to these words. By Yirdav Adon, Avram was only able to go ahead and chase them till dawn. Rabbi Yochanan, Kimin Sheba Oiset Tzadik Adon. Once Avram Avinu got to dawn, Tashish Koichai, because of the future of avodah zara is going to be there. Avram Avinu, his strength weakened. Rob b'nei Banov Shasidim Lavad avodah zara b'dan. He saw that his descendants would do avodah zara and done. Therefore, he had to stop there. Shnemar v'yasem esa echad. He put one of the calves b'beisel. V'esa echad, the other calf nasa b'dan. He put in done. And Nebuchadnezzar, who was coming to Yerushalayim, he only got powerful when he get to Don. Shenemar midon nishmas nachras susa. From Don, the horses snorted. Again, I guess Don was a place where he was, since he was in avodah zara, and it was a place where he was reinvigorated. Okay. So now the Gemara just mentioned Nebuchadnezzar, and now we have a Gemara discussing why HaKadosh Baruch Hu allowed Nebuchadnezzar to destroy the Beis HaMikdash. Rabbi Seira, Afagav the Sholach Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira min Etzivim. Even though this is we mentioned, he was one of this is Yehuda Meseir was one of the people that was brought back to life, right? From according to one opinion, he was one brought back to life by Yecheskel. So he lived in Etzivim. He's nonetheless his hiru bezaken. He said three things. His hiru bezaken sheshachar talmudai machmas ein. So be careful with the covenant of Talmud Chacham who forgot his Torah because he he got older and he forgot his Torah. So be careful. You should be careful. And his hiru berviden Rebbe Yehuda. When you do a shchita of a bird, be careful to cut the veins, aside from the trachea and the esophagus, to cut the various blood vessels around what's called the vriden. That's by shchita sa'if. And third, v'hiziru b'bnei amei aretz. Be careful, and when it comes to the covet of bnei amei aretz, shemehen teitzei Torah, ki ha milsa moidian lahu. Because Reb Zera says, we'll tell them the following. Look, if you tell Rashi says, the last Rashi on the right side, Ziru b'nei Amaretz, shenasu talmidei chachamim. They became talmidei chachamim. Lasos lehem kovid, shemehem teitzei Torah, like the Yisrael. Shari yatsu shmai v'avtalyon mebnei bonim shel Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin, he had descendants. Who did he have? He had shmai v'avtalyon. Umebnei bonim shel Haman lamdu Torah b'nei Brak. The descendants of Haman. Kidul Kaman, as we'll see later on. V'yafagav the Amar Rabbi Yehuda Hachi his hiru b'nei Amoritz. Even though he said so, you be careful. Ki ha milsa, top Rashi left. The l'kamon moidion lahu ki hechi de chazina l'kamon le'izacha l'chaneza la'oisa kovid elam fnei schus dalet p'siyos ki damrina l'kamon. He did something inconsequential, and as a result of his inconsequential act, he was able to go ahead and come to Yerushalayim. So too, the parents of these Amaratzim, they did something that led that then the Amaratzim children should be who they are, right? Hachanami aminul b'nei amei oretz. We tell the b'nei amei oretz the leizachu lo'oisei kovid. You only zeicha to this kovid elamachmas sechus ma'at shahaya ba'aviyim. Rabbi. So it says Rashi in the name of his Rebbe that's what you tell him. You're Talmid Chacham, you're a self-made man, but realize that your Amaratzim parents, whoever they were, they did something that would have gone ahead and merit giving you this merit. And that's what the Gemara is going to discuss now. Fascinating Gemara. Says the Gemara, Yirmiyahu has the following. Tzadik ato Hashem, ki orev alecha. Right? Ach mishpotim adabro ischa. He says he's going to take a fight. He's going to fight with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yirmiyahu. Madua derech Rishayim slecha. Why is the derech of the Rishayim atzliach? Shalu kol boigdei bagad. The people who act with you treacherously, they're shalu, they're in peace. Netatem gam sharashu. You planted them, and not only did you plant them, they took root. And yelchu gam asu peri, they grow and they produce fruit. So Maya Hajule, what did they reply to Yirmiyahu? Ki esraglayim ratzda. This is very, very cryptic. Ki esraglayim ratzda v'yalucha. If you ran, right? If you ran and you got tired, ve'eich tischare es asusim. How will you go ahead and be able to compete against horses? Ube'eretz shalom ataveteach. If they made you tired in the land of peace, ve'eich tasu bigoin hayarden. How will you fare when it comes to the Jordan River? So very ambiguous. Says the Gemara. Mashal l'adam echad shama. This is what Hashem was telling Yirmiyahu was questioning how could the Russia be matzliach, and this is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is mashal with a foot soldier with cavalry. Let's see what's going on here. Mashal adam echad shamar yochani lorutz sholos parsais lifnei susim. I could run before a horse a distance of 3 parsais, and they won't be able to catch me. Bein b'tziyei ayam, even if it's b'tziyei ayam, it's the swampy land. Nizdamin loy ragli echad, right? So what happened? He met a person, and he ran on foot, and he wanted to outrace him, and he ran before him 3 mil. Now again, 3 parsais, in a parsa, there are 4 mil. In a parsa, there's 4 mil. So 3 mil is not even 1 parsa. So he ran in front of him for 3 mil, vanilla, and he got very tired. The people said to him, if this happens when you're running against a regular guy, what's going to be when you run against horses? This happens before 3 milim. You can think a horse can catch you, but 3 parsais. If this is on dry land, so okay, so that's the way they touch up the pasuk. Now, af ata. So Hashem tells Yirmiyahu the following: Umibeschar abo psiyos seshalamti loise Rasha. The schar of the 4 steps that this Rasha took, sherotz acher kvoidi at the tamei. He took 4 steps from my covet, and now you're wondering. Shani mishalim schal Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov sherotzu lefonai ksusim, right? Alachas kama v'kama. So what's your questioning? You're questioning how I can be so good to this Rasha. You don't know. This Rasha ran in front, took 4 steps. Alachas kama v'kama, the ovois who ran in front of me, like what? With the strength of horses. Alachas kama v'kama. Hainu d'chsiv l'neviim nishbar libi b'kirbi. When Hashem says, when I think of the neviim, it breaks my heart. Rochafu kolatz moisai, my bones shake. Hayisi ki ish shikor ukegever avor yoyim. I'm like a person who's drunk, like a person who is drunk with wine. This is Yirmiyahu talking. Fnei Hashem, fnei divrei kadshay, because of Kadosh Baruch Hu, and because of his words. In other words, initially the basic premise is he thought he had question on Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? And now Kadosh Baruch Hu gives him his answer. And now his reaction to that is like, what was I thinking? Like what was I thinking? He got clarity from Kadosh Baruch Hu that the cheshbon of Hashem is very machshavas Hashem are deep, and he gives this mashal. You thought the horses is so whatever the Rasha got guaranteed that the tzaddikim will get more. Now what are these 4 steps? Hani abar psiyas maya. What's these 4 steps that was a big schus for Nebuchadnezzar? D'chsiv be'esa he sholach moirodon baladon ben baladon. What a name! He was the king of Bavel. His name was Meroidach Baladon, the son of Baladon. Melech Bavel Sepharim. What happened? He's Melech Bavel Sepharim. He sent a letter. Mishum kichola v'yechzak shodale Sepharim u'mincha. Since he was sick, Chizkiyahu. Guys, Chizkiyahu, I didn't mention this until now because it didn't come up until now. A very famous Gemara that in Masechta Brachos Daf Yud, Chizkiyahu didn't get married. Chizkiyahu did not get married because he saw Baruch HaKodesh he's going to have a son Menashe. So he didn't get married, and he's going to die. He was holding by death. Came along Yeshaya Hanavi and said, "What's the story?" So he goes, "I'm not getting married because I'm going to have a son, Menashe." So these famous words, Bahade Kivsha the Shemaya. What are you getting involved with the Kivte Shemaya? What are you getting involved in the secrets of Hashem? You're supposed to do what you're supposed to do. You're mitzvah and pirvarivya. And Hashem will do what he does. Okay? And Yeshaya decides, you know what? Maybe, I'll tell you what, I'll give my daughter to your son. I'll give my daughter to your son. And maybe to you. I'll give my daughter to you. And maybe the schus of you and myself, the child will be okay. Kachoya, they have a son Menashe. Menashe ends up killing his own grandfather. Menashe killed Yeshaya. Menashe is listed as among the people as no chelik no haba. We'll look at days whether the tshuva or not. But again, so this is the background. Now he gets sick, and he gets better. So Meroidach Baladon ben Baladon is going to send him a letter. Yishim kichala v'yechzak shoda lehus svarim lemincha says in lidroish hamoifis hashahaya ba'aretz. He wanted to find out this unbelievable thing that happened with Sanhedrin. Dam Rabbi Yochanan oisayim shemeisboy Achaz. Well, this is Achaz was the father of Chizkiyahu. Guys, you might remember that Chizkiyahu went ahead and he didn't give him the proper burial. He had a rope, and he was schlepping in ropes, and of course, was masking. That he wanted him to get a kapara. So he didn't give him a good burial. So Achaz. So when the day that Achaz died, it was only 2 hours in the day. If you look at Rashi on the left side, guys, Tzadik Vav Amid Aleph, look at Rashi on the left side. What a Russia. Hashem made the day so short they wouldn't have time to give him Hespedim and bury him. You hear this? Amazing. Chizkiyahu got sick and got better. That day was 22 hours long. The day was 22 hours. He paid back 10 hours to that day. So this nest occurred, and Meroidach wants to go ahead and recognize the nest. So it went back 10. So why did Meroidach say to his servants, Mahi? What's the story with this? Why the crazy hour change? So Amalei, they answered him, Chizkiyahu chalash vitbach. Chizkiyahu got better, and that's why he had 10 hours to the day, extra hours. Omar, so Meroidach said, Ikagavi kihai, you have such a great person. And I shouldn't go ahead at least shikam gris. I shouldn't go ahead and send him a message. So Kosovle, so he had the Seifrim. They wrote to Chizkiah the following: Shalom lemalka Chizkiah, Shalom lekarta Yerushalayim, Shalom le'elokah Rabba. That was the order. First to Chizkiah, Yerushalayim, and Shalom to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nebuchadnezzar Sifrei de Baal Don Haben. Nebuchadnezzar, he was one of the Seifrim of Meroidach. Hahi Shaita lehavi Hassam. When he sent the message, he wasn't there. Kiyasa, when Nebuchadnezzar came back, Amar Lahu, so he asked the other Seifrim, Hechi Kasvi, so what exactly did you write? So Amar Hachi Kasvina, that's what we wrote. And again, remember the order was Chizkiah, then Yerushalayim, then Hashem. So Amar Lahu Nebuchadnezzar said, Karisu Leila Karabba, Kasvina Leila Seif, you call him the big God, the great God, and you put him last after Chizkiah and Yerushalayim. Amar El Hachi Kasvua, Shalom Lel Karabba, Shalom Lekata Yerushalayim, Shalom Lemalka de Chizkiah. That should have been the order. So Amalei, they said to Nebuchadnezzar, right? Karna de Igarta, Iu Lahavi Parvanka. The second time we have this. The one who reads the letter should be one to go ahead and carry out its instructions. So what happened? So Roat Basrei, Nebuchadnezzar began running after the messenger to change it. Kiderod Arba Pasias, after he took 4 steps, Asu Gabriel Vukmi. Gabriel came and stopped him. Rabbi Yochanan, Ilmole Bo Gabriel, that Midu had Gabriel not come and stopped him, right? There would be no takana for the Sainem Shal Yisrael. So Lashon Sagina felt is that maybe that's chus if he would have gone ahead. It would have been, if you look at Rashi, takana, meruba, he would have such tremendous schar, he would have been able to destroy the rest of them. It's amazing. So they, again, because Baruch Hu does not bekatei schar, kol beri doesn't hold anything back. So that was the 4 steps. Okay, now. Meroidach Baladon, the son of Baladon. Why did he have the same name as the father? My Baladon ben Baladon. Why did he have the same name as the father? Amri Baladon Malka Havi. Baladon was the king. Vishtani Ape the Havi ki the Kalba. But his face changed and he became like a dog. I looked up the Magolas Hayoim brought down from the Zayar. I looked up the Zayar, guys. I can't make heads or tails out of it. But it says the following. Umashmei dahu Aryeh was a real. The anpei Aryeh. His face was like a lion. Umashmei dahu Kalba. What was the name of the dog? Baladon Shmei. The name of the dog was Baladon. The Lavi b'chal Adam. El Kalba v'anpei Kalba. He was a dog that had the face of a dog. So heebie-jeebie stuff about the dog change. I don't. As I state in the it's not done until the Bereshis. I looked it up. Anyway, so. They decided no one wanted to have a king that looked like a dog. So what did? They put his son in the place. So they put his son in his place. They put the son in the place. And when he would write his name, he'd write his name, the name of his father for covet. So Ben Yechabed of Eved Adonai. Ben is Mechabed, right, his father, and the servant of his father. Ben Yechavirov Hodamaron, that we see that Meroidach Baladon Ben Baladon by calling himself Baladon. The Eved Adonai, where do you see that a servant is his master? It says by Nevuz Radon. Nevuz Radon was the servant of Nebuchadnezzar, and we know Nevuz Radon had the moniker Rav HaTabachim, the head butcher. It says V'chodesh Chachmishi Vesel Chodesh Hishnas Tesha Asa Shana L'Melech Nebuchadnezzar Melech Bavel. Bonabis Radon Rav Tabachim, that remember the head of the butchers. He stood. This is important. He stood in front of the Melech in Yerushalayim. He burnt down the Beis Hamikdash. So now it says he's standing in front of him in Yerushalayim on the base, right? Umisolak Nebuchadnezzar to Yerushalayim. Did Nebuchadnezzar ever go up to Yerushalayim? Right? He wasn't there. Where was he? Vayalu El Melech Bavel Rivlasa. They took Tzidkiyahu to the king of Bavel in Rivla. That after they captured him, Zu Antochia. That's the town of Antochia. So you have a stira. You see that Nebuzaradan standing in front of Nebuchadnezzar in Bavel. It's not true. He wasn't in Bavel. He was in Rivla, which is Antochia. So to answer the stira of Chisda Rav Yitzchak bar Rav Dumi, Chanamo one says, "The mustik yoinoi hoisach hakukoloi al merkaftoi." On the Nebuzaradan's chariot, he had engraved a picture out of Nebuchadnezzar. So when he said he's standing in front of him, it was the image of him, not him, but the image of him, right? V'chadam one says, "Emo yisera hoisalami menu v'doime kamishayim lefanav." He has such ema for Nebuchadnezzar. It was if he appeared to be in front of him. So that's the lashon over here that an eved in front of a master. You see the way that Nebuzaradan treated Nebuchadnezzar. Amar Rava, says Rava, Te'in tlos meya could nosya nargo de parzla. This is, and we're going to describe how they conquered Yerushalayim. So it says that Nebuchadnezzar sent Nebuzaradan 300 mule loads of iron axes. The sholet with parzla that was so sharp it can go ahead and overcome other iron. Shadalei Nebuchadnezzar Nebuzaradan. Kuloi balisu chad dash Yerushalayim. Right. However, they began hitting the gates of Yerushalayim with it, and each time they hit the gate, it broke. It broke. In other words, they could not break into the walls of Yerushalayim, even though it was this unbelievably sharp, heavy metal. Shenemar pituchecha yochad b'kashil b'kelufon yahalomoin. Again, it says they beat the entranceways with hatchets and axes. Bo'olam ahadar. So the Uzradan said, "It's a simon. It's finished. He can't get in." Amar mistafina the loyla avdu be ki hechi the avdu b'sancheriv. I'm scared they're going to do to us what they did to Sanhedrin. It's really amazing, isn't it? How much goyim hate the Jews. If you had heard that Sanhedrin came to Yerushalayim, surrounded it with so many people, and they all died. Next, it's a pella. Next. You see that? It's unbelievable. Next.
Amalek. That's what Amalek did. Right after they left Mitzrayim.
I'm not sure. I would say Amalek. I don't know if that's in my mind. I don't know if the Dimyan's the same. Amalek and Babel, they're different philosophies. Amalek is fighting against God. They were fighting not against God. They were fighting against the Jews. They were fighting against the symbol of the Jew. I'm going to conquer this place. Amalek attacked Hashem, a suffix. We can't have that philosophy in the world that there's such thing as a God. They weren't attacking that. They believed in Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah could believe in Shituf. They can believe in God. Elakarabba, right? This is big God. It's a difference. So it's a different thing, Rabbi. It's a tifa difference, but it's a good difference. So you think a person learns some experience. Amalek has to attack because Amalek can't exist in this world if Hashem's in the world. So they have to attack. They have no choice to attack. These people had a choice. They had a big choice. I think that's a significant difference between the two. Anyway, it's just my opinion. So they came and he was about to leave. Listen, what can they do? It's obvious, one after the other, it's not working. Nafka Kol of Amar, a Baskol came and said, Shavor bar Shavar. Oscar types it, a person who can jump over another person. Nuzradan Shvar, right? Nuzradan jump. The Mata Zimna the Mikdash Shacharev. It's time to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. They chol a mikle and to go ahead and burn the heichel. The Toras Chaim says it seems redundant. Zmana de Mikdash Shacharev they chol a mikle. It appears to be the same thing. Says the Toras Chaim fellas. Zimna de Mikdash Shacharev. It's time that the Shechina left. And if you bought the Shechina left, therefore they chol a mikle, you can go ahead and burn down the Beis Hamikdash. As long as the Shekhinah is there, you can't, but the Shekhinah is not there anymore. Since that's the first part. The Shekhinah is not there anymore. Then, as a result, they chol a mikla. Pashle chad narga, he had one axe left. And you know what he did? Asa machye bekupa He went ahead and he hit the gate, not even with the sharp part, with the blunt part, and it opened. Shnemar, Yivoda Kemevi Lamola Besvach Eitz Kardumas. Okay. Habikotav Azal Ademot Elechala. The Mizradim began killing everyone in the city until he came to the Hechel. Alik Beinura, and then he lit it on fire. Gava Hechala, the Hechel rose up. Darchu Bei Min Shemaya, and they pushed it back down from Shemayim, Malachim. Shnemar Gas Dorach Hashem, the Besulas Bas Yehuda. Because Zachya Daite, Mizradim became Zoch Bedas. He felt so arrogant as a result of his Hatzlacha. Nafik Bas Kol of Amrulay, Baskol came and said, Amma Lisa Kotlis, you killed a dead nation. Heichel Kolya Kalyas, you burnt down a burnt Heichel. Kimcha Techina Techinas, you went ahead and you ground flour that was ground. Shenemar Kichi Rechayim V'Tachni Komach Golei Tzamach Cheshri Shoyvel Gali Soik Ivri Naharos. Chitim Loi Nemar doesn't say Chitim Elakemach, already was flour. Chosid Domi Dizcharia Dahavika Rosach, very famous piyut. It was rather than he saw the blood of Zechariah who had been killed earlier, many years earlier, it was bubbling on the floor. Amalahu, he said to the Kahana, my high, what's the story? So Amulay, they said, Dam Zvochim Hu Dishtapeach. It's the blood of the Karbonis. Amalahu, I see Va'anse Imidbu. Let me go ahead and bring blood and see what if it's comparable. You're telling me it's the blood of an animal? I'll compare it. Kase, they went ahead and they shechted some animals. And the blood wasn't the same. Amalei, the Mizradim said, Galilee, tell me about the truth. If you don't tell me the truth, the Parslav, I'll comb your bodies with iron combs. Amalei, they told him the truth. Hi Koyim V'Navi, this person was a Koyim V'Navi. The Inve L'Huli Yisrael B'Churbana, he went ahead and said what's going to happen, the Churban, the Kalu, and they killed him. Amalahu, the Mizradim said, I'll be Mephayasim. His blood is boiling, I'll stop it. So I see Rabbanon, they bought Chachamim Kotel Avei, and they went ahead and they killed them over his blood. But the blood didn't stop burning, bubbling. I see Dardaki, the Beirav, brought little kitties, Kotel Avei, killed them. Still the blood didn't stop boiling. I see Pirchei Kahuna, brought the young Kahanim, Kotel Avei, it still didn't stop. At the Kokoti Lavei, Tishin Varboy and Riboy. That's 940,000 if you do the math. 940,000. It didn't stop. Korov Lagabei Omar. The Vuzran went and he said, Zachariah, Toivim Shebehem Ivadatem. I killed the best of you. Nichala de Kalu Lakula. You were happy I should kill everybody? Biad Noach, immediately the blood stopped. Hiru Tshuva B'daite. The Vizradan had a hero of tshuva. Omar, Mahem Shalai Ibdu Ela Nefesh Echas Kach. If this is what happened to these people, because they only killed one person, Hu Gavra, myself, Matehevi Ela, what's going to be with me? Because I killed so many people. Arak, he ran away. Shoda Portisa Beise, he sent his last will and testament to his family. His Gayer, and he became a ger. I don't know, guys, ich weiß this pshat. If I would have told you Himmler became a ger, I don't know pshat. I looked around. I don't know. Anyway, some various gerim had various. Listen to this. Tanrabanan. Naaman was the general of the king of Aram. If you might remember, he was a Mitzayra, and Elisha had cured him, so he became a ger toishev. Ger toishev, Rashi says over here, he didn't eat nevelis. Other places he said, keep the Zayim Mitzvahs Ben Noach. It was Radon ger tzedek hoya. He was mamash a ger tzedek. Not a half ger, he was a full ger. And Mebnei Bonav shel Sisra lamdu Torah b'Yushalayim. From the descendants of Sisra, they learned Torah in Yerushalayim. Mebnei Bonav shel Sanhedrin lamdu Torah l'Rabim. Umayinu is Shema V'Talyan. Now, who was the children of Sisra that taught Torah in Yerushalayim? Guys are sitting. Rabbi Akiva. Guys, listen to this Peladika Margolis Hayom brought down from the Ramami Pano. The Gemara says in Nazir, Daf Chav Gimel, Amid Beis, it says, Gedoyla Aveir Lishma Mimitzah Shaloi Lishma. What did Yal do? Aveir Lishma. That Sisra, again, he ran away from the battle, and he came to the tent of Yael. And Navi tells us what happened, that Yael went ahead, fed him milk and stuff. He got tired, lie down. She took the tent peg, and she knocked it right to his skull and killed him. But the Navi doesn't tell you, what the Gemara does tell you, is that she had relations with him 7 times to weaken him. That she had relations with him 7 times. And it says, Tavarach Midashim Ba'oil, Eshes Chevra Keni. She's more good bench than the woman Ba'oil, than Sarif Lachav Leah, because she didn't act, but that you would think is a improper act. It was the opposite. It was Naberit Lishma. And she killed him. Says the Mari and Pano, on the 3rd Bia, Yael got impregnated by Sisra. Rabbi Akiva, guys, is a tolda from that. That's what this Gemara, we spoke about Amaratzim, right? Who comes from Amaratzim? You don't know the act that a person does. It's incredible. So anyway, that's Marami Pano says that from the 3rd Bia, again, only people of heebie-jeebie nature would know this stuff. But so, and that's why it says by Sanhedrin, it says he taught Torah Barabim, but by Sisra it says Yerushalayim, because that's where Rabbi Akiva began. He began in Yerushalayim and eventually went to Bnei Brak. But he began in Yerushalayim. That's the difference. Bnei Bonav Shel Sisra in Yerushalayim and the other Ishmael V'Talim. Bnei Bonav Shel Haman Lam the Torah Bnei Brak. Ve'af Bnei Bonav Shel Meiser Rasha of Nebuchadnezzar, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu lahachnis and tachas kanfei Shechina, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to bring them in. Amu Malchei Asher Snei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Mishachar, Baruch Shalom, Mishachar Vespeischa, Vesaraf Eshecholecha, tachnis tachas kanfei Shechina. How's that possible? I still don't understand in this Radnan. Okay. Hainu Dechsiv, Repinu Es Bavel V'lein Repasa. They said that what? We would have healed Bavel, but she's not healed because we didn't allow his descendants to come in. Hulu Amar, Zen Nebuchadnezzar, it's referring to Nebuchadnezzar. Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani Amar, Elu Naras Bavel, this is referring to the rivers of Bavel. The Targum the Tzinsa the Bavloyim. And explain that the palm trees that others say that the palm trees that grow by the river. Amaula. Amamu Moav, Shivei B'nei Yerushalayim Have. Amun and Moav, they were the bad neighbors of Yerushalayim. That meaning you look around the lands, Amun and Moav surrounded Eretz Yisrael. Came in the Shamina L'Nevi'eh, the Komisnave L'Churban Yerushalayim. They heard that Yirmiyahu was prophesying about the destruction of Yerushalayim. Sholchum V'Chanezah, they sent to V'Chanezah, Poiktei, now's the time to come. Aman V'Chanezah said, 1 second, Mistafina, I'm scared. It shouldn't happen to me, that would happen to Sanhedrin. Sholchulei, they sent him, don't worry, Ki Ein Ish B'Beisai, there's no Ish in the house. Kadosh Baruch Hu's not there. That's what he said. Ve'ein Ish Ela Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shenemar, Hashem Ish Mulchama. So you don't have nothing to worry about. Sholchulei and V'Chanezah sent back. The Karivi Huda, so he's close enough, he can come back. Says Sholchulei, no, Holach B'derech Mechak. He went away a great distance. Sholach Lahu, Islahu Tzadiki, the boy Rachmi Umayselei, this Tzadikim that can daven and bring him back. And Nebuchadnezzar was no fool. Sholchulei, Amun Mov said, no, Tzaroi HaKesef Lakach B'yadai. He took the bigger kesef with him. He's taken away all the kesef, all the tzaddikim away. There's no tzaddikim anymore here that you have to worry about. And kesef el tzaddikim. Shnemar, ve'akrecha ali b'chamishim asa kasef v'chemes oirim v'lesach soirim. Sholach lein v'chanes said, Haji Rishia b'tshuva. What happens if the Rishayim do tshuva? Uboy rachmi u'maislei, they'll daven and bring him back. Sholchulei kvar kabalem zman. Hashem has said, now is the time. Shnemar liyom hakesa yom beisod. This is the time to get. So in other words, this is opportune time. And Kesel is man. It says Kesel means man. Kesel b'yom chagenu, right? We say Shneimar, but Kesel b'yom chagenu. Oh, Kesel b'yom chagenu, like we say. There we go. Sholchulei. Nebuchadnezzar said, Sisvasahu. It's the winter. V'leimatzinu da'asi mitalgam u'mitra. I can't come because of the snow and the rain. Sholchulei said, listen, Toy ashina de Tura. Come by the way of the mountains, and you'll be protected from the rain in the mountains. Shneimar. Shilchu kar moishel eretz misela midboras al harbas tzion. Sholchulei iyasina. If I do come and I do come to the mountains and I do get there, lesle duchle de yasivu bay. I don't have a place where to stay. So Sholchulei, listen to this. Kavu shalahem u'ulim mipalterim shalacha. Their graves are better than your palace. You know what? You'll come, you'll dig up their graves, and you'll stay in their graves, and you'll be protected. Terrible. The chsiv. So when the invading army came, it says, "Ba'esahi nu'um Hashem." Hashem says, "Yoitzi Ehu es atzmis malchus Yehuda." They took out the malchus of the bones of the malchus Yehuda. Ves atzmis sorov. Ves atzmis hakahanim. Ves atzmis hanavim. Ves atzmis Yerushalayim. Mekevreim. They removed all of them from the kfarim. Ushatuchim l'shemesh. They spread them out in the sun. Uliyareach. Uchotzu hashamayim asher hevum. Asher avodum. Asher chochu achreihem. Because they worship the sun and the moons, they spread out over there. Okay, so that's where you're going to stay.